We got a tip about a house being undervalued in Jackson County, so we decided to check it out because lately we've been reporting the complete opposite. Homeowners nailed and paying double, triple, or even quadruple in taxes, all in the name of fair market value. So we were curious to learn about the exact opposite. This property photo looks pretty boring. A simple dirt, maybe gravel road. Here's the street map and the aerial photo. Nothing shown here by Jackson County grabs attention. It's boring. And if you didn't know better, you probably wouldn't look any further. But we did. We sent Chopper 5 to see why someone felt farmland was worth investigating. Check this out. This is the main house. There's also a caretaker's cottage. The pool is pretty snazzy too. There appears to be a pool house, or maybe it's a cabana. It's tough to tell from this view. What do you think this property is worth? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. This property sits on almost 40 acres. There's a fancy water tower, a bridge, and gates. Remember, Frank White and his appointed assessor say it's their job to bring things to market value. And that has homeowners across the county in panic.
If the way keeps going every year, I might not be able to live here.
So I opened it. I was watching the Royals game. I almost fell out of my chair.
But Frank White has even doubled down on this assessment, refusing to answer questions at times. I wanted to show you something that we found at 36th and Charlotte on the assessment. Do you have a moment to talk about it?
No, I don't. If you ask regular questions, I'll talk to you, but not like you're asking.
With information? We've done 13 reports on property taxes because it's been such a mess. I saw one bill that jumped 473%. What did you think when you opened your tax bill?
I nearly fainted.
A whistleblower let us know the county stopped using full MLS data.
They don't know the market value. The market value is on MLS.
We've shown you how assessments are uneven, even inside the same neighborhood.
I realized that the whole process was fundamentally flawed.
And we've also revealed how information on houses is sometimes wrong.
I know I don't live in 3,300 square feet.
But on Monday, White released this statement when someone suggested a compromise plan to cap shocking assessments. The county remains committed to ensuring that the assessment process is both fair and accurate. However, state law requires the BOE, like the county assessor, ensure properties are assessed at their true value. For whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be the case here when you follow that dirt road from up above. I contacted 3 independent real estate agents who agreed this home would be tough to price because it's so unique and amazing. 2 agreed it's worth at least $2 to $3 million. A third realtor didn't even want to guess. All agree it's a far cry from the county value of $690,000. That's right. Jackson County values all of this at $690,941. And last year the value was $450,000. This is what realtors had to say about it.
The owners of this property are getting a major break on their property taxes. I'm very surprised the county failed to assess it correctly, especially since this one property alone would bring in a significant amount of money into the county coffers.
It's just another reason why the assessor's department should start all over, using the multiple listing service, and not try to raise values in one single swoop. It makes you wonder how many others in the county are undervalued. That's just not right.
We kept digging and discovered this property is owned by Ken McLean. He's a powerful lawyer and developer in Jackson County. You may recognize his friend, Frank White. They must be very good friends because a few years ago, Frank White reportedly got in financial trouble. His house almost hit the courthouse steps for auction because White was so far behind on his mortgage. Lawyer and good pal Ken McLean stepped in and paid through another lawyer, according to the Kansas City Star. McLean refused to comment. White reportedly told the Star he received, quote, no loans from Ken McLean, but he declined to address if someone else paid the loan. Frank White and Gail McCann Beatty did not directly respond to this report. A public information officer for the county did. The 2019 valuation was determined in part due to research showing the home on the property was on the historic register. There are no permits on record providing any indication of renovations or improvements. In addition, due to the gating of the property, it was not possible for assessment staff to determine if renovations or improvements had occurred. I don't buy that gate excuse because here's why. Supposedly they're using satellite photos to evaluate your property. Here's what it used to look like. And of course, you can see over time things have changed. As for Ken McLean, we did try to contact him. We called and we sent an email to his office, but we never heard a response. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News. It's the cartoon Jackson County bought to make you feel better about higher property taxes. The price tag is a little less than $2,000, and that's according to the production company who made it. The number made us go, really? Because that's the same amount the county could have paid for MLS data that would have possibly produced clearer results. But instead, they bought this.
When you see your home's assessed value, you can rest assured that the number has not been drawn out of a hat, nor generated with anything but equity and accuracy in mind. Long story short, assessors are here to help.
In a slick new video, Jackson County explains how assessments work.
When someone hears the term assessor, they seem to think of a scary figure reaching for their wallet. Not so.
KCTV5 has done more than a dozen reports because we've uncovered such a mess. Assessments are incredibly uneven. The video claims otherwise.
And they do so with incredible accuracy.
Homeowners in the county's own numbers tell a different story. Here's how they explain why homes have different assessed values.
Imagine that you're in a restaurant with two friends. One orders a hot dog, one orders a plate of caviar, and you order a steak. The waiter comes to the table with a total bill of $100, but he doesn't know how much each of you should pay. If everyone paid the same amount, the guy who ordered the caviar might be happy. But what about the guy who ordered the hot dog?
The irony is strong because we found a number of caviar houses with hamburger rates. Perhaps they had coupons. And of course, we've met the hot dog homeowners who say they are paying for steak.
And they have double the square feet are paying the exact same what this has been assessed at, which makes no sense.
And if we're sticking with this restaurant theme, we've met the wrong order.
I know I don't live in 3,300 square feet.
Sherry Wichman's assessment doesn't have the correct information when it comes to square footage.
Studying things like square footage, age, and location helps assessors determine how comparable another property is to yours.
The pre-produced video fails to mention a record number of homeowners are appealing their property values. Even the board doesn't know how they'll manage all the complaints.
The only things an assessor chases are fairness and equity, and they take great pride in it.
It's worth repeating this cartoon, which is very nice and can be purchased in Spanish, is the same price as the full MLS data that was not used in this assessment. Many feel like that was a mistake. And we've been crunching the numbers all week long with the help of a Jackson County homeowner who's trying to fix this mess. His name is Preston Smith. And tomorrow we dig into spreadsheets and compare real sale prices to the assessments that hit your mailbox. It's pretty eye-opening. That's Friday night at 10. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News. The numbers don't lie. The people targeted with the highest property taxes in the latest assessment are the poor. If you are Black or speak Spanish, odds are you were absolutely nailed. This does not appear to be an accident. In fact, it looks incredibly deliberate. You've heard a lot about property taxes. Homeowners have seen values jump sky high.
We, the people, have got something to say about this.
An extra $6,000 a year in taxes.
I realized that the whole process was fundamentally flawed.
It's a county at war with its own residents who have been here for decades.
As we've investigated your complaints, we connected with data expert Preston Smith. He helped us integrate all sorts of information and databases. He also has access to county records. This week, we decided to get boring and search for properties which increased 14.9%. Here's why. We know state law requires a physical inspection if any property increases in value above 15%. Jackson County argues they can physically inspect pictures. But we wondered if they hedged their bets and if there was a favorite number out there. 14.9% is the highest assessment increase you can slap on a home with minimal effort, and there really is no debate. The best way to explain what we found is to look around that number. So here you go. There are hundreds of homes that had an increase in value above and below that 0.1%. Now check out 14.9%. This scale won't work. We have to zoom out, way out, and out again because for whatever reason, 14.9% is the favorite number Jackson County hit 74,311 times.
They deliberately did that, no? Or, I mean, they're wrong in doing this, no? I mean, 14.9 at 74,000? I mean, come on.
George Medina is a realtor.
I just can't even believe that number.
It's true. In fact, 14.9% is the favorite number 28% of the time on all residential properties. That's right. Jackson County increased property values by 14.9%, 28% of the time. So you might want to check your assessment.
They magically hit this specific number 28% of the time. What do you think?
And not in low-income neighborhoods. I mean, that's scary. That's not right.
Not right, because assessments are supposed to reflect market value and take into consideration if you updated a bathroom or finished a rec room.
Their focus is accurate values, not
Jackson County even released a cartoon explaining how precise and careful they are to get to the correct value.
When you see your home's assessed value, you can rest assured that the number has not been drawn out of a hat.
But it's hard to ignore there is a favorite number. Check out this map. What you see in red is the 14.9% changes. What is more striking is where you don't see that favorite number. It's virtually missing right in the middle, a 50 square mile block. You can almost draw a perfect line based on major roadways. Follow the line along Independence Avenue and 24 Highway. Turn east and head down Blue Ridge Cutoff. Swing along 435 to the Triangle. Then 85th Street to the south. Troost is to the west.
It's not in your neighborhoods.
Yeah, I kind of figured out we took a poll in one of our meetings, and we started from 200% up to 1,000%, all in the same room, all these individuals from the west side area. How that happens, we don't know.
How much did yours go up?
450%. There's something wrong there.
There's hardly any 14.9% in that square 50-mile section. We also noticed something else. There are a significant number of homes that jump by more than 50%. Let's add that in yellow to the same map. There is a higher concentration of yellow in that same zone. Data is tough to ignore.
That seems result-oriented, and that would seem to be inappropriate.
Somebody had a magical pencil.
The implications are obvious. Demographically, this means black people, Hispanics, and poor people across Jackson County are twice as likely to have seen the higher increases because the favorite 14.9% assessment increase was concentrated elsewhere. The homeowners we spoke with say this demographic generally struggles with access to computers. They likely don't know state law as well as their suburban neighbors. Bottom line, it's tougher for them to fight a high assessment.
Assessment shouldn't be done on a result-oriented basis. Assessment should be done by looking at what are the tangible factors that go into a value of a house. It shouldn't be based on saying there's a 15% cap, so we're going to go as high up under that cap as we possibly can, and then go out into low-income neighborhoods and just do 200, 300%.
I can't say native, but I mean, some of this stuff is embarrassing. I mean, this is a total mess. They need to start over. I just shake my head. I can't even believe this.
The ball is in Frank White's court. And all of Jackson County is looking to him to, yes, go ahead and grab it. This would be the biggest golden glove he ever saw.
Frank White is actually doubling down and saying he opposes any compromises to cap values. He's standing by this controversial assessment. By the way, we contacted the county to ask if they could explain how they kept hitting that 14.9% over and over 74,000 times and only in certain sections. We have not had a response. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News. Sometimes what people say publicly is very different than the truth behind the scenes. I wanted to know what top people quietly emailed each other, and this is all public record. But we had to get lawyers involved and complain to the Attorney General as part of the process of getting these emails. You'll soon see why no one wanted these emails to be released.
I mean, my God, how am I going to pay this?
I might not be able to live here.
I think that is what people say because they want to pull on your heartstrings.
It's unacceptable, and they will answer to God.
A potentially big problem. They're saying it. They're saying that. Not us.
They're saying this to each other.
We shared these emails with the homeowners who've been branded by the county as whiny troublemakers who just don't want to pay their fair share of taxes.
This is their words, but it paraphrases what we have been saying.
Turns out these angry homeowners share something in common with county leaders. They all question the numbers. Here's Assessment Director Gail McCann-Beatty, Chief Administrative Officer Edwin Stoll, and a high-priced out-of-state consultant named John Q. Ebert emailing each other, trying to figure out how residential values were calculated. They discuss this house that was the focus of a KCTV5 investigation because the assessment jumped from $266,000 to almost $600,000. The consultant wants to know what happened to the values. Here's the kicker. This email conversation reveals they don't know, and they don't have an answer for all residential properties. The consultant warns the assessment department and the county are terribly exposed for residential values mailed out that cannot be explained.
And they're trying to get us to buy it, and we don't buy it. And this right here illustrates, as of late as the 17th, July, we got problems, big problems with this assessment.
By the end of the email, they still haven't figured out how they got the value for any residential property. Another email reveals that the value of this property was changed while the conversation continues about how the county reached residential values. Here's Gail McCann-Beatty. This is the new value for Manheim. Not sure how John Ebert got to the $290,000 value. Follow the numbers. It goes from $266,000 to $594,000, then back down to $290,000, and no one can explain why. Here's what we can tell you. This homeowner was the face of a class action lawsuit. Perhaps the assessment department wanted this mess to go away.
This all makes you mad.
No one with the county would sit down and discuss it or any of the other emails we reviewed, and our team reviewed thousands.
It does not mean that the overall value is incorrect.
This is Gail McCann-Beatty on June 24th, confidently defending the assessment. Behind the scenes, she knows there are problems, and she's preparing for a backlash. In March, she emails about needing a phone bank, temp service, and predicting the large number of informal reviews we anticipate. She also sends an email about employees raising serious red flags. She quotes an employee who tells her, "There's no way we can get everything completed prior to notifications going out."
And what's the common thread against everything we've seen here? It's been a cluster.
Yes.
They knew it was wrong. We know it's wrong, and they got to just admit to it.
In April, the consultant and McCann-Beatty discuss a potentially big problem, those out-of-whack land values.
I'm angry. I'm angry for the taxpayers. It looks like there was a fire in the background and everyone was going crazy trying to figure out how to put it out.
We shared the emails with Legislative Chair Teresa Galvin.
I'd really like to see their response. I'd like to know what they have to say, how they can justify what was happening behind the scenes. They were telling the legislature this whole time, follow the process, everything's going to be fine in the end, everything will work out with the levies. But it seems like, like I said, there was a fire behind the scenes and they didn't know what to do about it themselves.
The chaos continues throughout March. The high-priced consultant is clearly in panic mode. He sends an email outlining concerns for both residential and commercial properties, so pretty much everything. He wants to delay notices and actually writes that reviews can be successful if MLS is avoided. That's right, the advice is to avoid real sales numbers. Commercial is an even bigger mess. He writes, the situation is dire regarding the work to be done. In late May, the director is quietly trying to fix a big problem. The computer program is taking homes with small improvements and sending the values through the roof. 500, 1,000, and even 18 million%, according to the attached spreadsheet. She writes, in many cases, there are very small improvements that went from values under 100,000 to multi-million-dollar buildings. She sends a list of 23,000 parcels, some of which are highlighted. She asked the consultant to review them over the weekend because she would like to get them out on Monday. if possible, in hope of beating the original notices.
I realized that the whole process was fundamentally flawed.
Assessment notices roll out, and not surprisingly, homeowners almost immediately question what went wrong.
It's a fail. It should be a fail. It should be an all-out recall and start over with the correct formulas.
This KCTV5 report digging into land values concerned the assessment department.
Where is the methodology behind that?
This is a big problem, Gail McCann Beatty warns top leaders, noting information has been sent to Channel 5 as well. FYI, we are reviewing the vacant land values. Later that month, also in June, when notices have already gone out, the consultant emails Beatty, "You cannot and will not be able to publish for the 2019 reassessment notices a fully accurate and uniform set of property valuations. It will take at least 2 years and probably 4 years to get things right."
I think the word used to describe it by many has been debacle. You know, for me, it's just been a mess from the very beginning. And seeing these emails that say, you know, that tell me that they knew back in March that this was a problem, that this was devastating. You know, this was dire. These are words that are used in this emails by the assessor, by John Q. Ebert, by many in here. That it's very concerning.
It needs to be terminated. That plant needs to be terminated now. And I would go further than that. I would ask for these people to resign. I think these people have been lying to us, lying to the taxpayers. Starting with Frank White or anybody in his office that had something to do with this and communication, including the tax assessor, should resign from office on the basis of these emails.
There's one more thing I want to point out. I asked for these emails back on June 30th. They were finished on August 20th. Then the county public information officer stalled for 2 weeks. September 3rd was the last day you could appeal. Call it coincidence. We were given the emails September 4th, when it was too late for anyone to fight back with full information about how botched this assessment truly was. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News. Data expert Preston Smith helped our investigative department create this map. We revealed that many homes across the county got a 14.9% increase, and you can see those in red, and you can also see where those increases didn't happen. It's very specific by neighborhood, and that is why the ACLU is representing homeowners, calling this process unfair.
How did this happen? How did this happen? Somebody's not doing their job. And if they're doing it, they're doing a very, very poor job.
Paul Rojas lives in this house. He has for decades. He would have loved a 14.9% increase. He got something very different.
Mine, 450%.
That's right, 450%. Paul appealed his assessment, but never heard back.
I'm gonna call Nicole.
Taxes are due in less than 2 weeks.
We need a fix.
He's worried about his neighbors.
You see, you have people that got to choose between bread and taxes. Simple as that. Medicine or taxes. They're at this time of the year.
The ACLU argues that 14.9% increase was applied in an unfair manner. It resulted in discrimination against neighborhoods where the majority are Black or Hispanic.
It's so dramatic and obvious that there's a line drawn, and we know where the minority neighborhoods are, and we know where the majority white neighborhoods are, and they were outlined by that map.
Assessment Director Gail McCann Beatty publicly explained this was a coincidence.
They've been chipping at us.
Yes, they have.
No one seems to buy that explanation. Certainly not Paul.
Act like leaders. At least pretend that you're leading something. I've seen absolutely nothing.
This is just the beginning. KCTV5 is aware of other lawsuits that are coming down, and those lawsuits will attack other problems. But the goal is the same: have a judge direct the county to fix this mess. We will keep you posted. But remember, if you are a homeowner, you still need to pay your taxes, and you can pay under protest. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.